Alright guys, hopefully you can see me. Let's try and view this to make sure you can all see where I'm at. Alright. Try and keep this out of the way. Alright, so right here we have the rudder that I was talking about earlier. I posted on Facebook earlier. I did already do the other rudder. It's kind of weird looking at the camera because I'm behind from what I'm seeing. But I've already cleaned it, but it's been sitting here for a little while, so I just wanted to make sure we got any dust particles removed. Got a little bit of debris on it, so I just want to make sure it's completely clear. We're just using the alcohol to wipe it down, make sure all the oils and things like that from when they did their welds are clear, clean. Don't want anything on it. But essentially we're going to wrap the one side, wrap it all the way around, and then flip it over to the other side. We'll go ahead and wipe down the other side real quick too. Go over some different items that we're going to use today. Just in case you guys want to try and do this yourself. This is much easier being off the boat, not on the boat, because it allows us to move around and get clean workspace also. This here is our raft. As you can see, it's very stiff. Oh, knock the camera over. I was afraid that was going to happen. But this is, customer wanted us to use some overland that it's called, made by General Formulations. It's super thick. But as you can see here, this is a piece of leftover. It doesn't really have any conformability whatsoever. It's really thick, and it protects the print. So we printed this, and it's a carbon fiber simulated wrap. But we already over laminated it to get it ready for this. And we're going to get our graphic lined up. Before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way. Go over a couple things. If you, this here is Primer 94. And what it does, it's a bonding agent. It's a bonding promoter. It's not a glue. It goes on clear. But the reason we use this is it actually helps with bonding around the edges, because this laminate is so thick it could easily pull up, and being that this is in direct contact with real high winds from the motor and such, I want to make sure that these edges stay down well. So I'm going to use this bonding promoter all around the edges. Bear with me while I do that. Once again, this is Primer 94. It's made by 3M. They're about $10 a can on this stuff. But if you've ever removed wrap from a vehicle that's somebody's used this on, it's very, very tough to remove. It pretty much, even after about 10 minutes of it sitting, you try to remove it, and it will literally rip. The wrap will rip in pieces. It won't come up as one solid piece like the rest of it. It's not really necessary to do the whole thing. Just the edges, just make sure the edges stay down. That's where everything's going to start, is from the edge. So if we get the edges and make sure that they're secure, we know that it's not going to come out. We'll go ahead and flip this. Do the other side. Wrap all the way around it. And part of me and my cold, I've got some sniffles going on. I've had a cold for about a week now. I'm trying to get rid of here. Somehow, this is the first video I've really done live, so I really don't have a view of what you guys might be saying, if you guys are making any comments or anything like that. I wish I could see them so I could say something to you, but I think I was able to open it up. If you guys want to write a comment, I'd be more than happy to respond back. At least answer the questions live here. Getting all the edges on this done. Stuff dries out clear, you really can't see it. I'm going to go ahead and do this front edge here also, because this is where it wraps around. Because this is so thick, I want to have an extra something to pull that laminate, or that wrap down to the edge here. I don't want to have to risk it coming up due to the thickness of the laminate. Stuff dries out pretty quick, doesn't take long. But once you lay the wrap on this, at least where this Primer 94 is, you've got about 5 minutes to work it and move it around. Once the Primer 94 sets in and causes it to adhere, it really doesn't come back up after that. There's really no playing around with it. Alright, I see one comment on there. I see Jay. Hello, Jay. Good to see you on here. Alright, so we're going to give that a minute to dry. But you can go over a couple things that you want to make sure you have. I usually use a little belt that keeps all my stuff locally. I have a problem with tending. It's been very difficult to get used to using the belt and keeping, always putting things back in the pouch, so you know where it's at every time. Developing that habit has been difficult for me. I always want to try and stick stuff in my pocket, and then I start to try and check which pocket I have everything in, and I go all over the place trying to find it. But primary things you need are a knife and your squeegee. If you're, after you've laid it and you need to check, you've got some air bubbles or something, you got an air release tool that will help you remove air bubbles. Sorry, I'm looking at my phone and not the camera, so once again, squeegee with a felt edge. Hi Kim, thanks for joining us. And we've got our knife for trimming out the laminate, the wrap. So it feels like most of it's dry here. We'll go ahead and bring our print over. On this wrap here, the customer specifically requested that the direction of the wrap be so that the black is at the bottom. Flip this over here. I'm going to switch sides of the table so I can easily start from over there. Yes, this is an air rudder for a airboat, just so you guys know. I'm gonna go ahead and switch sides so that I can get to the other side and work from the other side. Just one moment here. I'm going to adjust the camera. Unfortunately, this is a few seconds behind, so it'll take me a minute to be able to see exactly the movement of the camera here. Looks like you guys can see me from there. Now, I'm going to start peeling up this, taking the backing off of this here. See how thick it is. It just does not lay over on itself. It's really very difficult to even stick it to itself because of how thick this material is. This is really good over laminate to use when you're dealing with vehicles like ATVs, snowmobiles, things that are going to come in contact with brush and things like that that might damage the graphics. Your motorcycles and ATVs that are out on the road, not necessarily on the road, but out on your out where you're coming in contact with a lot of brush, stuff like that. It's nice under the aspect that it protects the wrap, the print, but at the same sense, it doesn't give you much conformability. So, as you can see, I'm forcing this wrap to just go right up to the edge of where the welds are, because I can't even wrap over the welds because of this not being very conformable as it normally is with the other laminates. This is actually 12 mils thick on this laminate. Your normal wrap material, like what you'd use on a car or something like that, it's usually around 3 to 4 mil. It's not very thick, but it's sufficient enough to protect you from like bugs and stuff like that that may come in contact with your car. But the nice thing about that thinner laminate is you can really wrap it around heavy curves. This, you would not be able to do it. And this, because of how thick this is, I'm wrapping a little different than I normally would. Usually you just kind of do your 10 and 2 back and forth motion, and that will push air bubbles out as you go along. But because this is so thick, I'm just going to make sure I push really hard, and I can see that it's actually coming in contact. Push it out. If this had multiple curves to it, this would be almost impossible to use this material on here. But he'll get a long life out of this wrap on this boat. So if he's flying along and a duck or some other kind of bird flies up and hits the rudder at 30 miles an hour, you know it's not going to damage this wrap because of how thick it is. If you have any questions, I'm kind of watching the comments there. I'd be more than happy to answer them as I go along. The other really nice thing is that when they made this piece, they weren't very careful and they actually scratched some of the surfaces with the thinner laminate material. it would actually show those scratches. It's how thin it is. It actually conforms right into those scratches, and you can still see it. You get a lot of people asking about wrapping their hoods of their vehicles because of paint chips and things like that. And we can do it still, and it does look much better than it did before, but you're still going to see those outlines if you really look up close. But from a distance, you're not going to notice it. And if it's like a commercial work truck, there's no point in spending a bunch of money to go get a whole new paint job on a truck unless you're really trying to extend that life of that vehicle for way beyond what it probably is going to get. Because a lot of your employees and stuff like that you're giving your trucks to, they don't care. They're just going to drive it, beat it up, and do whatever. You know, this is a quick and easy way for us to go in there and wrap that hood and make it look good, without having to high expense and a long time downtime, because we can wrap a hood on a vehicle within about an hour and you can be back out on the street and running. Whereas with a paint job, you're probably going to be without that truck, or at least that part of the truck, for a couple days while they bake the paint out so that it cures thoroughly enough to be able to go on the road without damage to the paint. I like to use the paper to keep it from adhering prior to when I actually want it to. The reason I do that is, one, it keeps the possibility of, you know, dirt and stuff like that from getting on your wrap before you actually get it down on there. And when you're doing, you know, wraps that are not